Kelly, quick question. And I want you to actually sit with this one, okay? When did you last feel truly worthy? Not proud of something you did, not relieved that something went well, just worthy, as in, I am enough right now, exactly as I am, not because of anything I've achieved or produced or managed or held together. And I think if that's hard to answer, you are in the right place, because for a really long time, I could not have answered it either.
Yeah, I am excited to talk about this. I don't have a quick answer for it, but everyone, welcome back to Chasing Brighter. I'm Kelly and this is Jessica, and today we are getting into something that sits underneath a lot of what women carry quietly every single day. We're talking about worthiness, what it is, where we've been looking for it, which is in the wrong places, and how we start finding our way back to it. So let's go. For a long time, I tied my sense of worth to keeping everyone around me happy, whether it was my spouse or my kids or even people I work with, friends. As long as everyone was okay, then I was okay. And that in practice meant that I really got out of touch with what I wanted. That is such a hard thing for a lot of us, is what did I actually want? And so I've spent a lot of time managing what everyone else needed. And that, what I really wanted sat quietly in the back most of the time.
Yeah.
How about you, Jess?
Yeah. I think for a long time, I linked worthiness to achievement, specifically to performing identity as well. I was a full-time at-home mom for 5 years, and my worth was being the best version of that, like this Pinterest mom, and so
You had some really great birthday parties, though.
Some great birthday parties. Oh my gosh, guys. I know I've probably talked about this before, but so my older two children are 18 and 15, and they're 2.5 years apart. And then we have a 4-year gap before Giovanni. So Gabriella was 7 when Giovanni was born, and Dominic was 4. And at that time, I was already back working. And so we joke about back when I was a good mom, because Dominic will be like, Mom, remember that thing you made? He'll just say remember this, remember that. And I'll be like, oh, that's back when I was a good mom. So Gabby and Dominic had these amazing first birthday parties. And Giovanni, we went sledding that day with all these people. And I was like, shit, it's his first birthday. And we stopped by Cold Stone Creamery and got him a cupcake. That was literally his first birthday. Mom and Dad came over and he had a cupcake. And that is so Giovanni, right? Of not knowing the level of crazy that his mother was. But it was my Pinterest mom era, where I made an 8-layer cake and a Super Mario cake for Dominic with cake pops. I made that. Did I send it to you? That it's the fire flower. You know the fire flower you get in Super Mario Brothers? You can throw fireballs.
Oh, I remember the pictures.
I made it with vegetables, out of vegetables. When I look back on my camera, I'm like, this can't be a photo I took. This is a screenshot of something on the internet. It's almost out of body. It is so crazy to me, right? We're I don't even think I was in my body. Where was I? Where was Jessica?
I know that one of our previous episodes about who you are versus who you're becoming, I think that was part of it too, right? You'd go to those gatherings with you and you would be out of your mind. So it wasn't hey, how's it going this week? There was no conversational down to earth, Jess. It was I'm on event planner, got to get it all done mode of things.
Dude. And it's so funny as you're saying that, and I don't know if this relates to what we're talking about, but Justin and I have everything so down pat now. I still love things. I still love an aesthetic, and I still love a party. But I very much so Dominic's birthday is November. Giovanni's birthday is December. Obviously, you've got Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of those things in between. And so that time of year was so crazy that now I would tap into what do I have the energy for? You know what I mean?
Yes.
What's going on? Yeah. And what's so funny is Dominic doesn't now. I mean, at the time I wasn't I was like, where do you want your party? Right. And he was really into gymnastics until he was like 9. And so we always had his parties at Gym
Oh, yeah.
Cats.
I remember Gym Cats.
But now, Dominic, I'm always like, Dominic, we can take you out to like a really nice dinner, right? Or we can do this. Or like for
Yeah.
Gabby, we can get you a TV for your room or redo your room, or you could have a party, you know,
Yeah.
but I love an aesthetic. And so like we had Gabby's, I did a gender reveal party for a friend. I did a party for Gabby's commitment. And it was like Justin and I are so like in sync. You know what I mean? Like now it's just a little bit different so for Gabby's birthday, I told you I'm getting like a taco stand. They're doing everything. We have all of the party supplies from over the years. So it's like,
Yeah.
bam, pop up tables, throw tablecloths on, get some flowers, stick some graduation things in it, you know, bam, bam, bam. Because now I think the difference is tapping into what do I want to do? What's my joy versus performing. I
Yes.
was totally performing because a good mother overachieved. So my worthiness was linked to how good of a mom I was or how good my performance was, you know?
Well, I mean, the era of being a Pinterest mom is real,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so many of us, fell into that.
Yeah.
Others who didn't do as great. I did some pretty solid birthday parties early on. And then the other part is a lot of us beat ourselves up when we know we're not doing that. And it's like this guilt that you're not, performing at the level that you think you need to be. So, I
Yeah.
think what's sneaky about this pattern in a lot of ways is it looks like caring, it looks like dedication, but nobody from the outside is flagging this as a problem. And so
Yeah.
it's very layered and it's really difficult sort of like talk through in a lot of ways. It's easy in hindsight in some way. I guess the part of why it takes so long to see it
Yeah.
is the reason why we want to talk about it today.
Well,
You know?
because it looks like it's hard to see that it's an issue because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a problem, right?
Yes.
And in therapy, we see this all the time. High functioning women who have built their entire sense of self around doing things well. Take away the achievement or change the role, and suddenly, you know, we don't know who we are. And that's the fragility of conditional worth. It's only stable as a last thing you produced. I think I told you this. I saw this reel and it's a thought leader. We probably read his books and he was like, we are worthy without producing. You need to pick one day a week where you don't produce. And I was like, oh my gosh, this man is amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then in the comments, people were like, yes, God created the Sabbath. It made me laugh because I thought, oh, this guy is like revolutionary. And
And
then
like,
it's
oh,
like,
wait a
oh, wait,
second. Oh, yeah, I guess
right?
there is
Like
that.
people have been practicing that, you know, once a time, you know,
Yes,
for a long
very
time.
true. Hey, Jess, quick pause.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've got a free download this month, and it really
Yes.
goes hand in hand, especially with this episode about worthiness and all the rest of our episodes in May. It is called the Real Over Perfect Weekly Check-In, and it's 5 questions, 5 minutes. That's it, once a week, and it is exactly what it sounds like.
Yes. It's free when you sign up for our newsletter at chasingbrighter.com. And honestly, I know I've said this before, but it really is one of my favorite freebies we've made so far. So go get it, chasingbrighter.com/newsletter. So, you know, Kelly, for me, it wasn't one thing. It was this whole ecosystem of support that really helped me on my worthiness journey. It was going back to individual therapy,
Yeah.
Reiki, working with the spiritual healer, reading books, real conversations with people I trusted, all of it together. There was like no one path. And what matters is that I started asking questions and kept going. You know, I started to separate
Yeah.
doing from being, and that practice doesn't make you worthy, right? The podcasts don't make you worthy, but there are things that you do because you love your life.
Hmm.
And I think a catalyst for me was reading Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed, and kind of recognizing that I was performing. And that was like the catalyst to start diving deep. And then finding out that it was a worthiness issue is so interesting. And I find in my practice, all of the high achieving people I work with struggle with worthiness. And it doesn't seem like that, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like it's not like I was like, oh, duh, it's a worthiness issue. When a spiritual healer told me I struggle with worthiness, I was like, WTF, you don't know what you're talking about. That's cute. I love myself and I'm amazing. And then I've talked about this so much on the podcast. 6 months later, I was just hit with all these feelings of worthlessness, and it was really crazy. And we can practice and learning like, I am worthy, period. And I tell my clients all the time,
Yes.
you are worthy because you are here on this earth, period. Worthy, the end.
I love that. Yeah. And, you know, for me, it's really about recognizing that I sort of didn't, I guess I outsourced my sense of okayness because I really
Yeah.
reflected off of what other people
Yeah.
did. It was sort of this very much reflected sense of self in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And then, starting to ask, what do I actually want? What do I want?
Mm-hmm.
And separate
Yeah.
that from what keeps everyone else comfortable. And
Yeah.
it's really uncomfortable at first. I think it hits at different stages in our lives too, because I feel like, both of us kind of did the work around the same time, which was around the COVID era in 2020. And,
Yeah.
we really grew a lot from that. But I'm even hitting it a little bit more now because both of my kids are grown and increasingly independent and they don't need me anymore. And so, I
Yeah.
still have a little bit of that worthiness tied to keeping them happy and really trying to continue to let that go. So for
Yeah.
me, it's the beginning. This is really starting. It becomes the beginning of something real. There's no
Mm-hmm.
end point for me.
Yeah. I think side note, and maybe this will resonate with you. It was triggering and annoying to me, but it's probably because of all the work that you and I have been doing. But I was watching this reel, and the woman said, this is something that we never talk about. And it was cut to an old video of all of her kids like jumping on a bed. They were very young. And then her sitting alone, very sad on a couch. And it was like, what no one ever tells you about the empty nest or something. And I don't know why it really pissed me off, but it probably pissed me off because of our programming of where I would probably be that person if I hadn't done all of this work. When you have your value through the people that you're caring for,
Mm-hmm.
when they're out of the house, you're going to be sitting around feeling completely worthless, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's
I
hard.
don't know why that was like pushing a button for me, but it's
Oh,
probably because
100%.
I want to like go shake everybody and be like, no, no, you are worthy. You have so much going on. Fun things to do. I don't know, but that was an interesting thing. And I think as we move kind of toward looking at actionable steps, one of the most useful things you can do when identity feels tangled in a values clarification exercise
Mm-hmm.
is asking not what am I doing, but what actually matters to me. And the key question is this something I actually value? Or is this something I'm performing because I think I should value it? So for example, I valued being present with my kids, and that was
Yes.
real.
Yes.
I was performing the Pinterest aesthetic, and that was for an external audience. And once I could see the difference, I was able to start letting go of performance and just keeping what was real for me.
Yeah, I think that's really important to talk through. One of our episodes in April, we talked about what are your values. And
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely one where, like, off the cuff, I listed off some things, but then I really kind of sat with it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that ties to kind of one of the tools that we recommend, which is to try writing down 5 things that you feel like are core parts of your identity, and then ask of each one of those things, is this genuinely mine? You know, f- is this who someone else needs me to be? So what is truly for you? And you don't have to act on the answer, but again, this is just being aware of it. And,
Yeah.
I initially put down on that just being like a mom is part
Yeah.
of my identity, but my value is, spending time and supporting my family. And
Yeah.
spending time and supporting my family doesn't have to be a depleting thing. And so it's setting boundaries on what does that mean? You know,
Yeah.
just because my son wants me to pick him up and he doesn't want to have to wait for 20 minutes outside of the ballpark and I have to bend over backwards. No,
Yeah.
I don't have to always be giving him what he needs if I know I need to
Yeah.
finish a workout I was doing or something,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's the part that we all have to untangle is
Totally.
how we kind of navigate that. So anyway, I was just going to say, I recently caught myself doing something purely because I thought that it was what a good mom does and not because I
Yeah.
actually wanted to do it. And one of those things is Friday mornings, I have coffee with friends and it's at 8 o'clock. And I have a call at 9 now on Fridays. And so I have only an hour with these friends. And so last week I was doing all the things I thought I needed to be doing. I drove Wes to school. We were running behind. It's traffic on Fridays. He starts later. It was all these things. And I ran to do coffee and I was like, sorry guys, I gotta go. I got a busy day. And I'm like, yeah, you seem like it. And I run to this and I run to that. And the whole day I was functioning. And it just got me thinking about is like the
Yeah.
real over perfect moment was, pausing long enough to ask myself, like, whose standard is this? Why am
Yeah.
if I don't feel great, if I'm feeling like
Yeah.
really ragged, really edgy, who am I doing this for? And
Yeah.
so I'm trying this week to make a different choice. And I've already told Wes all week because I hate making my children mad. I'm just like, I'm not driving on Friday. Just letting you have to take the bus, giving you a heads up.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I'm not pleasing him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Disappointing him.
yes.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of senior night, which I don't even know if I ever knew what the F senior night was or paid attention, but now I have a senior. Your kid is in extracurricular, they have a senior night and they celebrate the seniors. It's, I guess, a big deal. My daughter's on a team, she's the only senior. So we knew she was having a senior night. And then we asked the coach, what is he doing? I don't know if I sent you this stuff, Kelly. I'm crying hysterically. He used AI. He asked for a picture of her playing softball when she was young. So we have a picture of her playing softball at 8 years old. And he has her softball picture now and he has AI and they're hugging each other.
What?
And I cried hysterically. And also everyone's doing it. So I told someone and they're like, oh yeah, my son did AI of him holding his kindergarten self.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so her coach is doing, I'm sending it to you so you can cry, but she doesn't know yet. Her senior night's next week. So I'm sending it to you. You can look at it and cry. And then he did like a cute little cartoon one. So he was saying all the things he was doing for senior night. So Jessica was like
Oh gosh, that's
thinking
adorable.
and
My goodness.
pulled to like, okay, we got to do senior night. We got to get a banner. I've got to get. And then my friend was like, you should get like a fat head. I sent you the picture, right? I got these giant heads of Gabby on sticks for us to have. So all I did was order these fat heads, fingers crossed. It was very sketchy. They came out perfect, but like it was like a website. It was through Amazon, but like you get no confirmation of what it's going to look like. And you're like, oh my God, it's going to be just her forehead. But anyway, so I got fat heads and I was talking to Justin, like, should we do something else? Like, and then I start looking at stuff and I'm like, okay, I'll get this banner and I'm pulled. Pinterest Jessica is like, and then I was like, dude, her coach is doing a ton of stuff. Justin was like flowers and like a lei. We have a huge, is it like Polynesian culture or Hawaiian culture here where like everyone wears leis for all celebrations, which I don't know if that's where you are. It just wasn't from Kansas. I only know Kansas. Okay. So, so when we have a big, yeah, right, Pacific Islander. That's the
Yeah.
term I was looking
Yeah.
for.
I think
Big
that's a good way
Pacific
to say it. Yeah.
Islander
Yeah.
population, and even at the school that Gabby and Gio are at. And so anyway, so Justin's like some leis. So I ordered a roll to be able to make candy leis, like a plastic roll. And I'm like, okay, I'll make her candy leis and then I'll have Justin get her flour. So for me, that's keeping it very simple. Like I could go totally crazy, but I'm not. And so I was caught that I was chasing this external worth and performing. And I really thought about my value. And it's like, I do want to do something fun. This is a really big deal. It's my oldest child. She's the only senior. But I also don't want to run myself ragged and be crazy because then I have left my value, right?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful way to talk through it, because I mean, the Pinterest mom era was
Mm-hmm.
wonderful for what it was, but I think we've all
Yeah.
learned to sort of like we were overperforming and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
serving us. But that doesn't mean you can't
Yeah.
do anything. There's a
No.
balance there. It's the idea of finding that balance.
What started having me questions. I remember going to Gabby's school. I was the president of the PTO, and she was like, "Mom, you're always going." And I was like, "I'm doing this for you. I'm doing all of this for you." And you're like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, this does not feel like I'm doing this for my children. Yeah. So let's move on. What are our brighter moves this week?
All right. So for me, finish this sentence without editing yourself. I am worthy because, and then notice what comes after that. What comes after the because? I am worthy because. Is it an achievement, a role, an approval? Just notice. And, this is something you don't have to fix right away. It's just, again, just seeing it. And maybe you ask yourself that a couple times. You have to think about it. But it's really kind
Yeah.
of just noticing. It's not really doing anything
Yeah.
about it.
I love that. And I think because I've done the work, I would answer I am worthy because I am, period. You know?
Hmm.
Moving on to next week, we are tackling something that I have a lot of feelings about, the having it all story, where it came from, why it got a wellness makeover, and why I think it's a myth and worth blowing up entirely. Come ready to have an opinion.
Yes, I have opinions. And don't forget to check us out on our social media at Chasing Brighter. And, we want to thank you for being here today. Also, check out our blog, chasingbrighter.com, for everything, including that newsletter that we talked about earlier. You definitely want to check out our May download.
Yes, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week.